in the book of Revelation, a book that reveals God's plan to the redeemed, a book of wisdom that allows the redeemed to have insight of what God is doing in the earth, so the elect of God won't be caught by surprise. In Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 to 2, it says, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, Come. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. This horse in this chapter of Revelation is a symbol of deception, which gives a representation of a figure that is supposed to be Christ. But if you analyze the entity, it has a bow and arrow. In Revelation chapter 19, Jesus doesn't have a bow and arrow, but a sword that comes out of his mouth. We are living in a time when it's harder to see the truth from something false. My goal for this series is to point to the Word of God, which is the truth, and let the Word of God reveal itself into the reality of what is actually happening right now in the world. Many people have an opinion of the book of Revelation, but there is only one real interpretation. In Revelation 18, it speaks about a mystery of Babylon. There are those who believe that it is a former bride of Christ because of their persecution of Christians, especially the early church, the Roman Empire because of their vast rule of the world and the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. A lot of modern Bible scholars point to the Roman papacy. This is the mystery of Babylon, represent events like the Dark Ages and their pagan teachings. I just want to make short videos teaching what the Bible actually says and give the actual interpretation. In Revelation 17, John spoke about seeing a woman sitting on the scarlet beast, the same beast in Revelation chapter 13 and Daniel chapter 7. I challenge everyone to read it and also for themselves to have a better understanding. This woman was dressed in wonderful clothing and adorned with precious accessories. The Word of God calls her abominable and an adulteress. This woman is also described to be drunk with the blood of God's holy people, which are the saints of God. At the end of the chapter, it refers to this woman as the great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. Well, whenever the Word of God denounces a nation for committing adultery, it's by worshiping idols over the one true God. If you ever get a chance, read Jeremiah chapter 2 and look at the language used towards an adulterous generation of the nation of Israel, because they worshipped idols and turned their backs on God. At the end of Jeremiah 2, it not only points out the adultery, but what came after is a warning of the destruction. In Revelation 17, it also gives the picture of a nation that turned its back on God and committed adultery against him, and chapter 18 brings the message of destruction of this nation. Babylon the Great is the nation that rules over the world with its influence. This nation not only causes its citizens to commit adultery against the Lord, but the citizens of the world. There is only one nation on earth that meets this criteria. In the days of the Roman Empire, the idols were more than just the deities, but also the gladiators and the government. Babylon the Great has many gladiators: the movie stars, the music stars, the athletes, and the majority of the world's wealthy. In the United States of America, the statistics shows it has the largest Christian population in the world. Although it is known that Native Americans were here before the first English settlers, the Pilgrims, the country was still founded on a Christian foundation. Every generation, God puts a nation up there and gives them the world at their footstool. He expects this nation to lead by example, but in these last days, it's hard to see the will of God in America. Times and laws have changed, and Babylon the Great, the United States of America, will be as an example for all the nations of the world that turn their back on the Lord.